Hello and welcome to Chess Please, and today I wanted to make a very short video on this puzzle, which was the chess.com puzzle of the day on the 11th of June, so yesterday, and I just thought it was pretty neat, so I wanted to spend a little bit of time going over this. So, as with any puzzle, the way to start off trying to go about solving it, I find the quickest way to center yourself on the puzzle is count the material. So it's white to play here, so we're playing as white. And counting the material here, we have a rook and a bishop, so, you know, nominally ahead. But black has this rook, which is backing up these pawns, which are looking to promote pretty soon. So while we may be a little bit in the driving seat, and you'll see we actually do have a way to force a win, it's definitely not clear, particularly with the threat of these pawns promoting. So we need to be very, very accurate. Now, looking next at what we can possibly do. Checks, we have a couple of checks, but they don't necessarily do a huge amount. We have this, we have this, and we have this as well. So none of those immediately do too much damage, but I'll give you a second or two to try and solve the puzzle here, or try to see what the right idea is. And this whole idea is why I found this puzzle so enthralling. So pause the video, whatever you want to do. I'm going to say the answer in like 3 seconds. And those 3 seconds are now up. So, amazingly, this rook is trapped. We can actually just win this rook straight away. So, you might be thinking, what are you talking about? There is 1,000,001 squares that it can go to. And that's correct, but we actually control every single one of them in a manner of speaking. So with that in mind, that should give you an idea as to what the first move is, with a view to capturing this rook. We see that there is a nice bishop kind of overlay on the rook here, which might be one of your ideas, but actually what you want to do, get the king up in its grill, because now the king is going to control these 2 squares and these 2 squares. So you're thinking, all right, no bother, we've still got a couple of squares for the rook to go to, and you do. If you go here with your rook, if black goes there with your rook, that falls into this. So that is going to be a skewer, fork, whatever those ones are called. Bishop checking the king, taking the rook, you win the game. Happy days. So that square, this A8 square, is ruled out. So rook instead will come to A7. And again, you're thinking, okay, plenty of time for the rook to get out of trouble. And as white, we want to, again, just squeeze him out. And the move here, again, amazingly, is king b6. Just put a bit of, get up in his grill, hassle him. And I think one key difference between this and the first position is now that the king isn't on this diagonal, the bishop starts to chip in on the a file in terms of cutting off squares. So what the king is doing here is bang, bang, bang. Those are all covered, including an immediate threat on the rook. We already ruled out a8, and that still persists. That is still a reason. So you're thinking, okay, the rook will have to find somewhere to live here. But where? Where on the 7th file, 7th rank, will they live? King, again, covering off these 3 squares, so that's a no-go. Bishop is covering these 2. Rook is covering this one. And this H7 square fails for the same reason that A8 does. If the rook comes over here, bishop in there will win the rook with a fork. So in that case, there's only one safe place for the rook to go, and that is e7. But you'll see, it's not actually safe, because our rook will then come charging into the action on e1 down here, a check and a skewer of this rook back here. The king cannot retreat in time to provide any sort of defense, so he just moves out of the way, and you claim the rook there. Lovely little puzzle, because it seems like the rook should have somewhere to go, but then when you start to calculate concretely, it does not, and you end up winning that. So I just really enjoyed that. From here, white wins, and you can check that with an engine. Now, I wouldn't put it past me beefing this opportunity, because, again, these pawns, like, there's some shenanigans that you could do to try and get some pawns promoted. The way I saw when I went in with the computer was you actually end up giving this bishop up for a pawn, or for both of these pawns in a way, and then you just win with a rook and king checkmate. But very fun little puzzle, and I wanted to share that with you. So check out the chess.com daily puzzle. They're always doing stuff like this, but this one I found particularly enthralling. All the best, and take it easy.